Café and Networking Podcast promotes business owners and business experts throughout the world. I'm Tom Reaoch, known as the King of Networking, podcasting and connecting people from my studio in Brazil. Today we talk with Kevin Kepple, and he's joining us from Dallas, Texas. Kevin Kepple is a business coach and leadership educator. Kevin works with business owners and executives to help them create clarity in their businesses, massive impact with their leadership, and freedom in their lives. He is also a podcast host of Unlock Your Freedom. So, Kevin, what's the worst thing you can do as a leader?
Oh, gosh, where should I start? I think one of the mistakes that a lot of the leaders, myself included, when I was young and first cutting my teeth in leadership is really, there's sort of an influence equation, if you will, and influence is such a huge piece of leadership. And, the great expert John Maxwell says influence is leadership. And there's a specific equation you can really hit that, really creates transformational movement in the people that you're leading. And a lot of leaders, get it backwards, like I said, myself included when I was younger. And what that equation looks like is really simple. It's three things. It's trust, connection, and vision. But what the young leaders do, or maybe, leaders who haven't learned better yet, is start at the back of that. And they'll share the vision first and start telling people what to do to go create the vision. But when people aren't connected to it, maybe that'll happen for a little while when the leader's around. But as soon as the leader goes away and they get bored and, check their phone and do whatever and just get off task because they're not connected to it. It's not that people are, malicious or, trying not to be good at what they do. It's just there's so many distractions in the world.
Right.
And if you're not really, connecting with people first, then there's very little desire to co-create whatever your vision is. And telling people what to do is for managers. Real leaders don't tell people what to do. They empower and inspire people to, solve their own problems and create a better way forward with their gifts and their talents. Because, again, if you're just telling people what to do and solving all their problems, then you've got to be there all the time to tell them what to do and solve all their problems. And that's not leadership.
Right.
And so really powerful leaders, I think, the opposite of the worst thing you can do is start at the front of that equation and start with building trust.
Right.
And, everybody's asking of the leader internally this question, like, do you like me? Like, and if you feel like the leader doesn't like you, you don't feel safe. Right. And, and if you don't feel like the leader likes you, this next question that we all kind of ask of the leader is like, well, is what's important to me important to you? And, if you don't like me, I don't feel like it is. And then it's like, can you help me get what I want? It's that kind of third question that everybody asks of the leader internally. But when you really intentionally, work to help people feel safe and, build that trust, and there's lots of different ways to do that. But one of the, simple ways is to be authentic, to show up the way you say you're going to show up, and, this, more or less the same way every day. And it, there's ups and downs, but if you can keep some good equanimity and not go too high, too low, and just, be the person you say you're going to be, own the values, that are important to you and important to the company, and, make it safe for people to be vulnerable. And that when you build trust like that and people feel safe, they have to feel safe.
Well, you mentioned a really strong point when you say people asking, do you like me? Business is not about being liked. And that's the question, because many people, when they start in a company or start in a business environment, and I agree with you, that's sort of the paternalistic approach. They want to be liked, and that's not where it is. But as you do say, trust doesn't come in a form of a pill. It's no magic. It really does have to be nurtured and created. And from the leadership side, it's really the role model.
Absolutely. And like you said, trust is like credit. It's, it takes a while to get good credit, and it takes very little time to get bad credit. And, we all got credit cards in the mail when we turned 18. If they still do that, I'm not sure. But I remember I turned 18, there was like 1 million credit cards in the mail. And my dad was a CPA.
Today they download an app. There's no mail.
It's even quicker and more dangerous. Right. Yeah, my dad was a CPA, and he was so good at protecting me from that, fortunately. He's like, hey, if you get a credit card, you pay it off. It's not free money,
No, I agree. Well, I said that when I first came to Brazil, because they had people understand credit. Because at that time, there weren't even any credit cards here. But I say, for most Americans, say what I have, I owe, and who I am, I owe. And really a credit reference, a credit rating is something of value in the States, more than in other countries. I'm not saying that it's not valued here, but people really don't. And that's the same thing with trust.
Yeah.
And trust is, like you said, it's an uphill, not an uphill fight, but it takes energy.
Absolutely. Well, and I mean, there's, companies when you apply for jobs that ask for your credit rating and they check it to see, what kind of past you have, are you responsible? And, I think when, we're going back to our influence equation, once you get that trust built, it's really powerful because that's when you have the ability to really connect, with people on a deep level and, connect them to the vision that you're sharing. And that's when, when people are co-creating a vision together, that's when you get synergy, and that's so powerful. And you start getting this also like co-elevation where people start evolving towards higher versions of themselves as well. Because, it's so powerful when you have people running towards a common goal, but they're not treating each other as competitors. And,
Right.
Competition strives for like sameness, and everybody's kind of trying to win the same way. But when you have a safe environment and people are connected to the purpose, people are able to create in their way. And man, it's so, phenomenal to watch people, give themselves permission to be themselves in ways they haven't yet.
Right.
And really start, just doing things that are well beyond the current limits they had set for themselves.
Well, and you're right in that. Many companies in environments set up barriers. They don't want the person to cut loose or to be loose. It's very structured, process oriented. Do this, do that. But today's new world. And the world is the world. People aren't necessarily, in the last 2 years, haven't even been together. They've been everywhere, and they've been virtual. It's a great virtual trust is another challenge.
Oh, absolutely. Across the screen, it's a completely different interaction than, sitting face to face. But I think it's pretty powerful when you can get kind of a hybrid model. Some screens, it saves a ton of time when you don't have to drive everywhere, but
right.
You got to have the community, you have to get together at some point, even if it's, once a quarter, or it's just so crucial that people come together, because when people get separate and distant, they start making up stories in their head about what's going on, and that, maybe I'm not safe, and maybe they haven't called me in a month, so maybe they're mad at me, and no, I'm mad at them, and, start protecting themselves. And, it's just because, whoever it is, maybe that leader's really busy, and he just, he trusts you enough to do whatever it is you're doing, or,
and for the leader, we need time to share time. And part of that, as you said, the connecting is sharing time.
Oh, absolutely. I think and one of the most powerful things you can do is just, share your time. Like you said, that's one of our most valuable assets.
Right.
Is just to give somebody a space. And, as a coach, it's not all these wonderful things that I'm telling to people, it's usually just creating a safe environment for people to get, their ideas and words out in front of them and have an unbiased opinion, reflect it back, and help them see what, being more looks like, without feeling like less.
Well, anyway, Kevin, we're coming to the end of our time, but I want to thank you too for sharing your time with us and our audience. So how can our audience find more about you?
Sure. You can go to kevinkepple.us, or I'm on Instagram at Kevin Kepple. Love to say hi.
And so for our audience, again, it's Kevin Kepple. It's Kevin. And the last name is Kepple. You find him on LinkedIn and kevinkepple.us. kevinkepple.us. So, Kevin, thanks again.
My pleasure, Tom. Thanks for having me.
Okay. Café and Networking is brought to us by Focus MI Market Intelligence, an agricultural market research specialist in Brazil. More information on their website, www.focusmi.com. Thanks for listening. Until the next time here at Café and Networking Podcast.